Yesterday, 8 o'clock in the morning, I had one of those was vital shocks. Perhaps it's 3 years since I saw him last, in the same place, in the market. Last time he was helping his wife with the shopping. This time, she was absent. He looked as if he was a year, maybe 2 years away from the old age shuffle. There was a time when he and I would recognize each other in Collins Street. But now he was not the same man. Yesterday, it was clear he had missed his last 2 haircuts. One shoelace dangled. This once handsome, confident, high-achieving, athletic man had developed a big belly. Yes. It was good that we were both in the market at 8 o'clock in the morning. No mistake. It was good. Plus. But as he went his way, we did not nod to each other as we once did. The shock of it all. What he once was, what he now is. The was visual shock that hits us all, I suppose, if we live long enough. But there's a search for a few positive needles in the huge haystack of aging. Jesus of Nazareth once said to his friends, "Who do people say that I am?" And one of them said, well, some say that you're a retake of that untidy bloke called John the Baptist. And Jesus jumped to his feet and said, "What? Are you telling me that I'm like him? You've been with me all this time and you're telling me I look like somebody who's long since out of the picture? Who do you think I am?" Truth is, we're likely to get confused about the next statement. Who he was. Who do they say he was? Who are we? Now that we are who we are, we're no longer who we were. And sometimes it is a shock. I read the obituary in the paper the other day, and I think, I thought I knew this person. I didn't know him at all. This wasn't the person I knew. Then a couple, a husband and wife, come in to see me to talk through their tangled story, and she says, or it could have been the man who said it, "I just don't like the person he has now become. He once was, now this is how he is. Why should I put up with this?" So take away all your theories of adaptation, drop them in a bin somewhere along the road if you like. But this is what we have to cope with. One of the facts of life. Of course, you don't have to be married to collide with this fact. That from the highest educated person to the kids still in 5th grade at school, none of them have studied Interpersonal Relations 101 because it contains a shocking page and we haven't read it, we haven't studied it. It says, people change. And that's a shock. I saw a person just the other day and she said, Do you know, I like my mother these days so much more than I ever did. She's changed. She was once a bag full of nothings. Nothing was any good. Nothing was right. Nothing good will come of this. Nothing is worth the effort I'm putting into it. Her name was Nancy, but she thought the N stood for nothing. She did nothing with her life. She had nothing nice to say. There was nothing new in life to celebrate. Nothing. All nothings. But she's changed. Thank God she's changed. And then, fearing she may have touched a sensitive spot, she looked at me and said, "Well, thanks somebody." People change. I've changed. I imagine you have changed. Some of us grow backwards. Some of us grow inwards. A few of us grow forwards. Some of us grow in ways we don't like. And we try to change it. Wrong way, perhaps, or the best way. In any case, we don't understand. Often the other person has gone on their particular growth pathway, and we're still seeing him as he was rather than as he is. And we're demanding, as it were, that he should be as he was, that we all should be the same as we once were. Interpersonal Relations 101, people change. Have you changed lately? Some of you know that some years ago, back in 2006, in fact, 10 years ago, I wrote this book, Don't Call Me Grumpy. Perhaps now, 10 years later, I should write another book and call it, Yes, I Am Grumpy. It's all right to be grumpy. Just let me be grumpy if I want to be. The book is really about older men, of course. And it asked the question is, what older men really want? That's a big question. Many sons and daughters saw this book and said, "Now, that's just the book for my father. Don't call me grumpy." And so their father smiled and received the gift but never read it. I was provoked to write that book after I read a very impressive article written by an American psychoanalyst whom I've known over the years. And her article was on being an older woman. And I discovered, well, that's me right about being an older man. She knew what it was like to be an older woman. I know a little bit about what it's like to be an older man. Over the last 45 years at St. Michael's, I have been an advocate for kindergarten kids. We've been running a big tent program to help little kids 4.5 years of age get over their problems, get through their problems, make something of their life before they become a bigger problem, a disaster in their adolescent years. How to cope with their challenges and changes of growing up. Well, I haven't been doing anything with the kindergarten teachers, but we've been doing a great deal with the kindergarten kids, but I've been doing a great deal with their teachers. How to take stock of their growth before these little kids run off the rails, before they become confused in their relationships right across the lifespan. So that's what we've been doing on the one end. On the other end, for the last 45 years, I've also been an advocate of people at my end of the lifespan, people after 60 through to 105 years of age. Last Sunday in the hall, we gathered to recognise the excitement and the good mood of several people celebrating a birthday in their 90s, 90 years of age, 92, 94, 96, 97 years of age. And we had birthday cakes splattered all over the tables for the occasion. So although we are vaguely aware that the growth of a child goes through many stages as they become adults, we are bluntly ignorant of the stages older people go through after they're 50, after they're 60. We just say, well, he's just an old bloke. shuffling around, shoelaces undone, whatever you say. Why do people say these things? Or better still, let me ask the question. Who do people say that you are? But before you take the answer, remember they're going to tell you a lie. We've learnt long since that people can't be trusted when it comes to asking them a careful question. Who do you say, who do you think we are? Who do you think I am? And you'll come away and say, you don't want to offend me, so you don't tell the truth. Who do you think you are? Well, some say you're just an old bloke. Some say you are a miracle survivor. You survived 4 cancers and a broken leg. Or another will say, you were once a good conversationalist. It was terrific being with you. But now where is the zing you once had? He was, now he is. She was. So Jesus said to his followers, does it really matter? Does it really matter what they say? Who do you say I am? And they said, they came away with a lot of nonsense that we can't understand. They said, you are the Son of the living God. And we say, for God's sake, what does that mean? What are you saying? They were saying, you are the demonstrable reality of a way to live. You are a picture of what it means to live. Of course, the theologians and the preachers are expert in draining the vitality out of everything. They fail to translate those words of the Scripture into something relevant to our life. Who do people say that I am? Who do you say I am? Do I have any vitality left in me? And I say, you do. You are like a son of a living God. You've got all the vitality that we can imagine. If someone is the son of the living God, can you imagine it? She is surely the carrier of great vitality and generosity and grace. Who do you think you are? Do you come into that category? A new way to live in the here and now. So you're 60. No, you're 80 or you're 90. Yes, I know. I've been trying to designate the stages of growth after 60. So although we have christened the little kids today, I want to talk to the big kids in this address. The people who've reached 50, 60, 70. Well, if you don't want to do that, just imagine when you were 8 years of age, you used to imagine, well, I did, I used to imagine, what will it be like when I'm 18? Well, now I want you to imagine that. Wherever you are, imagine what it will be like when you're 100. So let me start step 1. You're no longer 50. That's for sure. You've left your 50s behind. And you ought to be leaving all the concerns of the 50s behind. In your 50s, you expect things to stay as they always were. That people should stay the same people. But the 50s have to be left behind because they're gone. We grow forwards, or we get stuck. We grow inwards, we grow back. Let me put it to you to grow forwards, out of your 50s, over the stresses of the 50s. And to do that, we need courage. Courage to take us to the 60s. So this is stage 1. Moving beyond the 50s into your 60s. You'll notice this. At that point, your relationships will change. Your goals in life will change. You're gathering up the anxieties of being 60 now. Those anxieties are different from the 50s. You might try to dress as if you're still 25, but you don't fool me. You're 65. So get used to it. What is the dignity of your age? Where is the dignity of a 65-year-old? The one you used to nod to in the street. Well, he doesn't nod to me. Well, he didn't yesterday morning. But he used to nod. Doesn't nod anymore. Well, you see, I'm more irritable these days than I was in my 50s. Some people would question that. They'd probably say, you're irritable enough then. It may be possible, I think, to find ways to direct my frustrated energy towards different people, different goals, different objects that will bring some satisfaction or some endpoint to those frustrations and might open up an enjoyment. Are we meant to enjoy life after 50 in our 60s? Let us move towards that beyond 50s enjoyment. In your 50s, you still think things have to get better. In the 60s, there needs to be a change in your expectations. In the 60s, you will be different. Now, that doesn't mean you join the disgruntled, the disillusioned, and the discontented, and the depressed, although you can, and some do. I wrote in my book that I saw several men become more creative after 60 than they were before. That was in my book that I mentioned already. More creative after 60. Some people had written them off. I saw many people, men and women, become more caring and kinder people, softer people, than they were before. I saw men at 60 realize that the time in front of them may be less than the time that is behind them. They're the 60s. So I jumped to the 70s. In the 70s, we look for a new mood. We're better. We're looking for a new meaning to our life, a new purpose. Yes, let's have a new purpose. Because we're going to collide in these years, the 60s, 70s years, we're going to collide with new adversities. But we might also come across new enjoyments. We can be so overwhelmed by the adversities that we don't open up our personality to the enjoyments. Too many, of course, succumb to the diseases and die in their late 60s and 70s. Let's try to avoid that. The 70s can be a time to consolidate your strengths. The 70s give you a chance to get over the past and get onto a different bus, taking you to destinations where you realize that complaining continuously won't cure your troubles. In fact, complaining that the bus hasn't come for you will not bring the bus. It is a time to select the strengths that you've got still with you, always with you, still there, alive. The strength that will keep you alive and growing further through your 70s, because the 80s could be ahead of you, growing towards 80 and 85, the third stage. Now, I know this zone well because I'm in it. Many never get to this zone, sadly. Others say, well, I hope to get there because I have good genes. My parents and all of their lot were all long livers, so I should live like them, but you might not. You see, it might not be about your genes. It may have been that they avoided all those common ailments and diseases. They avoided the accidents, just as we have to avoid. Life expectancy, you see, used to be at 55. People died most commonly at 55 through to 60. So within a short period of time, the life expectancy of human beings, at least in the Western world, at least in our culture, not at all in the Aboriginal culture, but in our culture, life expectancy has boomed ahead to 80 and 85. And we say, yes, and we'll have it, and we'll have more. To hell with everybody else. We want to get what we've got, and we'll have more. 80 to 85 is the time that you've got to live and help others to live. Can we do that? It's a time of resilience and a time of caring. Because soon it's going to be over. It's the time to maintain some meaning in your life and some purpose. Of course, it is a time for realizing your existence is useless. So many people are living a useless existence. But others say, no, I want to prove that there's a validity. There's validity between being and not being. There's the validity of the line between being alive and being half dead, half alive. So I go to phase 4, 85 to 90. In this phase, people are hanging on. In my sage group, we have a golden rope. Hold on to the golden rope, the things that will help you live the next 5, 10 years. So hanging on is very important, but often we let go. So in the 85 to 90, we've got to watch carefully, because this is the period where we hang on or we let go. It is the age of contentment and the age of decline. It is the age of fulfillment and the age of the final things. Dylan Thomas wrote that poem, remember, to his father. He said, do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at the close of day. Rage against the dying of the light. For some, it is the phase of holding on or letting go, of resistance and resolution. When you reach your 90s, be sure of this. It's unlikely that you're going to become a top racing driver, competitor. It's unlikely that you're going to be a top ballerina on the stage. When you reach 90, nothing will be gained by regretting what you could have been. This is now the time which is the only time which is important. Now, it is the time to be. So, 95 to 105. For the most part, it is a time of pioneering growth, because so few of us will get there. A time to be really old. In times gone by, you've looked at photographs, as I have, of old women, old men, 98, 102. They're toothless, weathered, unsightly. Today, there are people over 100 years of age who are dancing twice a week. They can recite Shakespeare's 30th sonnet. They are pleased to be alive in these last years. Throughout our life, we've been told to prepare. You've got to prepare for your career. You've got to prepare for promotion. You've got to prepare for marriage, perhaps. You've got to prepare for prosperity, prepare for a productive life. Focus on preparation. But at 90, we've given up preparation. You focus on staying in focus, or you lose focus. Focus on being alive to the finish. Focus on preparing yourself for a good finish, a good death. Everybody's aim. Could that be so? An old bloke, a philosopher, wrote of Martin Buber. Martin Buber, some of you attended my lecture on Martin Buber. And on Martin Buber's 87th birthday, his friend, another philosopher, said of Martin Buber, his great contribution was himself, his very being. There was magic in his personality. There was richness in his soul. There was sheer joy in his presence. Who do you think you are? Who do people say you are? Could it be said of each one of you, each one of all of us? There was magic in his personality, her personality. There was richness in their soul. There was some sheer joy in your presence. So the fifth phase is your presence. Your presence. When that's gone, you're gone. Focus on your presence. In such words as this man said about Martin Buber, his great contribution was himself. Mind you, he made contributions at many points of life, but this is, at the end of the day, his contribution was himself. His very being. There was magic in his personality. There was richness in his soul. There was sheer joy in his presence. Could that be said about us? You, me. And so the fifth phase, a good presence. Be a good presence. The moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on. Would you please stand? And the blessing for you, whatever your age, whatever your hopes, here is the blessing today. May the God you see in all the colours of creation arouse in you a sense of awe and wonder. May the God who is a sacred presence, be real to you. May the God who is a source of inspiration and courage keep calling you forwards. May your God go with you and bless you today and always.